Welcome to Beating Cancer Daily. Beating stage 4 cancer for 30 years still takes my breath away every time I say it. I'm Saranne, founder of the Comedy Cures Foundation, and I hope you'll join me for just a few minutes daily for the next 365 days so we may laugh, learn, maybe cry a little as we live our best days beating cancer daily together. So are you an overthinker or you live by your gut? Well, if you've listened to the hundreds of episodes of Beating Cancer Daily, I think you can now understand that I live a lot by my gut and that I just love spontaneity and humor and play, and I don't mind being the fish out of water. But my husband hates being fish out of water. He is an overthinker supreme. And so I really thought it would be fun to do an episode on overthinking because people always say, how do you just make decisions so fast and stand by them and don't second guess yourself, especially medically? And I thought, oh, let's just dive into this. And I am so happy because there are so many great thoughts and quotes about overthinking. Here's one that just made me laugh so much. Overthinking is my cardio. That would be my husband. Definitely burns calories overthinking. And I don't have a writer for that. It's listed as anonymous, but I just thought it was amazing. Here's another great one. I'm an overthinker. My thoughts start out as a nice little walk at the park and end up in a full-on marathon. That's another anonymous. I just think these are great. And because I live with someone who's an overthinker, they really resonated with me. So I want to go through, first of all, how to recognize if you're an overthinker, because you might not even realize you are. Maybe someone's told you you are. He denied it. He said he's not. And I just fell off the couch. I was laughing so hard because if he isn't, I think he's the poster child. I think he should be on the poster of it. But let's recognize first what are some signs of being an overthinker. And then there's just such great solutions if you decide that you don't want to overthink that much. And for me, going through all this cancer treatment and decades of survivorship, I realized that if I could control when my mind was focused on cancer and when I gave it a break from thinking about it, that I had so much more time just to have a great quality of life and really feel my life and have a great sense of play and enjoyment, and that it just didn't, interfere with everything that I was trying to do in my day. So let's first look at how do we know if we're overthinking? CNBC Make It had a really fun article online about overthinking. It was from November 2024. It was written by one of their contributors, Scott Mots. And I really appreciated this article because I thought he had some really good ideas. And one of them was, do you catch yourself going, well, what if? What if? What if? And I know a lot of my friends do that, particularly people that I'm helping through cancer treatment. And one of the recommendations he had was, instead of saying, what if you say, we'll see? We'll see. We'll see how that goes, instead of, what if that doesn't go well? What if I don't respond? What if you just said, well, we'll see how it goes? That short circuits it pretty fast. And I've taught a lot on this podcast in the hundreds of episodes. Not this, not this. when you catch yourself in that spin, not this, not this. And you could say it 50 times if your mind wants to just go back to that story and you don't want it to, not this, not this. Another thing that he said that I thought was really interesting was when things are knocking at you, like in your brain, they just keep presenting themselves. If you see that happening, then you might be overthinking. And one of his tips was only reopen the conversation in your mind if you have new information to add to the conversation. If your brain is just churning around, stop it. And that's the we'll see or the not this, not this. But if you don't have new information, then you're overthinking and you need to get your mind off that topic. And we can talk about many ways to distract yourself. We can go through that. He said it's important to distinguish between overthinking and problem solving. And I agree. Ask yourself, am I solving the problem or am I just circling it? Say that out loud. Am I solving the problem or am I just circling it? I loved that one. Sometimes we get off track because we make an assumption that someone had bad intent. And so you jump to a conclusion. And you can do this with your medical team a lot because, emotions are heightened and you're scared or you're worried, you're afraid, you don't feel well. So a lot of times it's not ill intent, but because we are overthinking something, we're assigning bad intent. So I try to walk through life as people just have good intentions, not bad intentions. And sometimes that can stop us from overthinking. I mentioned this at the beginning. My husband really thinks of the worst thing first. And I always think of the best thing first. So the right way is probably somewhere in the middle, but he denied that he catastrophizes things. And I see it differently from the outside listening. The language is often very serious about stuff. And it comes from a point in his life where he worked in insurance. So he's always looking at the risk that can happen. And when you look at risk, you think of the worst case scenario, which is often the catastrophe of it. So I'm the opposite. And I just think everything's always going to work out great. So this is important because there is something called a self-fulfilling prophecy. And if you just keep repeating the doom and gloom of a situation, and if you're always dwelling on the terrible, and if all the energy around something is just so unhelpful and dark, you can actually create a self-fulfilling prophecy where the worst thing happens. So what can you do? You can actually ask yourself, what evidence do I have that a bad outcome is going to happen? What evidence do I have that a bad outcome is going to happen? Now, he will say that he's looked at the probability and statistics of it all, but I still say that for most things, you can talk yourself out of the doom and gloom outcome. Now, what if you do go down that path of the worst case scenario, right? And this is what I say all the time. What if I am wrong? What if this is the one time that I really screw up and the knight in shining armor doesn't come on the horse? what happens if I'm truly wrong? So I haven't spent any time worrying. I've had the best quality day, but then something bad does happen. Well, I'm good at problem solving. So I'm just going to solve the problem. And that's always my argument, that I get the best quality day. And if the problem does exist, I'm going to have to handle it anyway. So I'll just handle it when the problem arises. I don't have to give all that energy over to the what ifs. It's just a way that I've chosen to live. And people note that I am so confident. I am so resilient. I do have huge mental strength. I don't need a lot of sleep. And I think it's because I don't overthink. I don't think it's the only thing. And I really trust my instincts. I really feel that I'm so present that I really can see things that are coming at me that need to be handled. And so I don't feel like I'm getting blindsided all the time. I just am present. And when you're present and you're not caught in that circuitous worry, you can really just handle the problems as they come. What do you think about this? Do you think you want to try it? If you are an over, do you feel a little more secure now that we're just talking through overthinking? Well, there were some really cool tips on Quora, and I just thought I should mention them. One is to realize if you're overthinking, and that's why I wanted to go through that beginning exercise. The next thing is, okay, you decide you're overthinking something, set a timer. Say, I'm going to give myself 10 to 15 minutes to think about the specific issue or problem. And I'm going to set a timer on my phone, and then I'm not going to do it after that. And I loved that. I thought putting a boundary around thinking could stop the over part of overthinking. The next thing is practicing meditation or mindfulness, that if you can use that time to still your mind, that might help you have less incessant thoughts, less overthinking. If you start using this practice of mindfulness. And, I do meditate. I've talked about it before. I've done visualization exercises and meditation exercises on the podcast. And I think those episodes could be super helpful. And then I love this idea of visualizing the outcome that you want versus the disastrous outcome. So whatever it is that you're overthinking, actually using one of the episodes on visualization on Beating Cancer Daily and use it to visualize the best possible outcome for whatever it is that's worrying you. And then I love this idea of problem solving. Instead of thinking of all the things that can go wrong, think of all the things that can go right. And if you have steps that you have to take, action steps to get things right, then put all that energy into writing out the list of action steps that you can do. And then look back at the list. And instead of overthinking it, start working on your actual list of solutions. I really, I really am going to do all this with my husband. I think just living with me, he's gotten better because he sees that I really do trust my instincts, and it's not all my brain. It's like my heart, my soul. But as I've shared before, I'm very faith-based. And I think that just having faith and connection really helps me in these situations, whereas he's less faith-based. So he doesn't have that kind of sense of security that I have. He thinks so much really depends on him. And again, I never get into a debate about this, but I do love to present ways that being faith-based can really help you have a better quality day. And it doesn't matter to me what religion you are or what you believe in. It's really just having the sense of being part of a bigger connection in the world. So just back to some of the brilliant quotes that I found about overthinking, because I think it's a fun way to end. Here's one by Nitya Prakash, and I hope I'm saying it right. While you were overthinking, you missed everything worth feeling. I'm going to repeat that because I think it's really beautiful. While you were overthinking, you missed everything worth feeling. I loved this one because I thought it captured so much about overthinking. My brain has too many tabs open. And I definitely see that in my husband's brain. And the last one is just a cool Swedish proverb. Worry often gives a small thing a big shadow. And especially if you worry about the small things in life, I just don't sweat the small things. And I think cancer teaches you that. I don't know if you've discovered it yet, but when you're fighting for your life, you can't fight for your life and then sweat the small things. But sometimes people say they become so over controlling about the small things because they can't control the bigger thing, which is their cancer. So that's an interesting look at that from both ways. I love this topic because I'm going to take it right back into my marriage and see if I can help my husband with his overthinking, which he's denying. I don't know. Are you in denial about overthinking, or has this helped you realize it? And I should probably think a little more before I act, but I don't know. I just have too many things to do in the day to actually get so stuck in the circle of thought. I have to really just get things done and keep things moving. The other thing I was going to share is improv. If you can enroll in an improv class, if you have an improv class where you are, or even if you have to travel to one, it's worth it because it teaches you to be so present, not be caught in worry, not be caught in overthinking, to really trust your instincts and to really go with the flow. So if you are overthinking and you decide after this episode that you want to try to change your ways, definitely go to an improv class. They even have them online. I like them in person better, but you might want to even try one online if you can't get to one. So I love when you tell me how these episodes work for you, how these lessons resonate for you. Go to comedycures.org and hit the record button in the podcast section and just talk to me, or go to the menu and write me a note. And I want to know, did you try improv? Are you doing some of these strategies? Are they resonating for you? And if not, if you have your own, then share them with me because maybe I'll try them with my husband and share them back in our community of Beating Cancer Daily. Have a blessed day. Don't overthink, and I'll see you tomorrow. If you loved today's episode, then tell the world. Why? Because Beating Cancer Daily is a listener and donor supported experience. So the more people you tell and the more people that join us, the more robust and interesting programs our nonprofit, the Comedy Cures Foundation, can bring to you throughout the year. So if you have some extra change, I'd love you to go to comedycures.org and make a donation today of whatever level is comfortable for you. And it will be tax deductible to the extent allowed by law, because Comedy Cures is a nonprofit 501c3 organization founded from my chemo chair, April 1999, and we've been going strong ever since. So please consider making a donation today and help our community and this podcast thrive. Guess what time it is? It's time for me to read the disclaimer. Beating Cancer Daily and the membership circle are not in lieu of medical advice or treatment. They are for entertainment purposes only. Please consult your healthcare team to review your best strategy. Thanks for listening. See you guys tomorrow.